She didn't plan it, she didn't see it coming. One look, one conversation, one moment, and everything in her said yes, not because he was the richest or the best looking or even the smoothest, but because something in his presence made her feel safe, seen, and alive. While another man did all the right things, waited patiently, spoke kindly and still, she walked away. Why? Because women don't surrender to effort. They surrender to energy. And if you don't understand this, you'll keep chasing connection that never lands. You've seen it happen. One guy walks into a room, barely says a word, and somehow without begging, without buying, without pretending he gets her attention. Not just her attention, her desire, her yes. Meanwhile, another guy, he texts good morning, buys the flowers, compliments her dress, waits patiently, and still gets hit with "I'm not ready," or worse, "You feel like a brother to me." It's confusing. Frustrating, even painful, but it's not random, because here's the truth: women don't sleep with men instantly because they're easy. They do it because something about that man made her feel safe, seen, and sparked. Let me break this down. Every woman, no matter how strong, smart, or independent, has a radar that senses three things the moment a man walks into her life: emotional safety, energetic dominance, sexual polarity. And when a man triggers all three, even if it's just for a night, she leans in. Now let's talk about emotional safety. This isn't about being soft. It's not about calling her queen every 3 seconds. It's about being so secure in yourself that she doesn't feel judged, manipulated, or pushed. She doesn't have to question your intentions because your energy is clear. You're not trying to win her. You're being who you are with or without her approval. That's power, and that power makes her relax. And relaxation is the first door to arousal. Second, energetic dominance. Please don't confuse this with aggression. I'm not talking about who yells louder or pays more bills. Energetic dominance is about direction. It's how you enter a space. It's how you lead a conversation. A man who knows what he wants not just from her, but in life carries a gravitational pull. He doesn't need to chase. He draws people in. And when that kind of energy enters a woman's life, she feels challenged in the best way, not belittled, but elevated, invited to melt into her feminine energy because his masculine energy is finally present. And finally, sexual polarity. This is the charge, the current, the unspoken spark. It's not built by cheesy lines or expensive cologne. It's in the way he looks at her, holds eye, contact like he already knows something she's afraid to admit. It's in the pause before he speaks, like he's not afraid of silence. It's how his body language tells her, "I see you, not just your body, but your being." And that look, that energy, it says, "I can handle you," and not just the easy parts. The messy parts, the unpredictable, emotional, wild, quiet, sacred parts. When a woman feels that kind of energy, she responds, often instantly. But if your energy screams, "Pick me," if your energy is built around proving your worth, if your confidence crumbles when she says, "Not tonight," then even if you check every box on paper, she won't feel that visceral yes. In her body, she may keep you around, but not for passion, not for intimacy, and definitely not for surrender. Here's what's real. Women are not puzzles to be solved. They are mirrors. They reflect the truth of your energy back to you. If she doesn't feel it, she won't give it. If she doesn't feel safe, seen, or stimulated, you're not going past hello. So stop focusing on her body. Start focusing on your presence. Stop asking what women want. Start asking, what kind of man are you becoming? Because the men women sleep with instantly aren't always the richest, tallest, or most charming. They're the ones who remind her in one unshakable moment that her feminine energy is finally safe to come out and plow why. You've seen it happen over and over again. A woman who seemed reserved, careful, even conservative, suddenly opens herself completely to a man she just met. No hesitation, no rules, no waiting period. And then there's another man who tries everything right. He's respectful, he compliments her, he takes her out, he invests time, and still ends up being ghosted, rejected, or pushed into the friend zone. It almost feels unfair, like the rules don't apply equally, but the truth is there's something deeper going on. Women don't make those decisions randomly. There is something happening beneath the surface, something invisible but powerful. And that something is often rooted in emotional safety, not the kind you read about in textbooks or self-help blogs, but the kind that is felt in the air, in the tension, in the unspoken energy exchanged between two people. Women are far more intuitive than most men give them credit for. They can sense when a man is whole within himself, when he's emotionally grounded, when his presence doesn't come from a place of needing to prove anything. And that kind of presence is rare. That kind of presence feels safe. You see, emotional safety isn't about being a yes man or always agreeing with her. It's not about telling her what she wants to hear. It's about being so secure in yourself that her emotions don't scare you. Her highs and lows, her silence, her uncertainty. You don't try to fix it, you simply stay. You don't collapse or become reactive. That non-reactive presence makes her feel like she doesn't have to shrink or perform. It tells her, you can be all of you here. And in a world that constantly tells women to be less, do less, feel less, that kind of space is seductive. When a woman feels emotionally safe with a man, her guard drops without force. Her vulnerability becomes a gift she wants to give, not something he has to chase or pry open. Emotional safety allows her to stop thinking and start feeling. And when she starts feeling deeply, that's when connection turns into chemistry, and chemistry turns into intimacy. Most men think attraction is about what they do how they dress, how much money they spend, how fast they reply to texts. But women respond more deeply to who a man is being. If your energy is anxious, if you're unsure of yourself, if you're constantly seeking her validation, even if she can't put it into words, she will feel it in her body. And her body won't lie. Her instincts will tell her to keep her distance. But when a man walks into her life who is centered, calm, and unattached to outcome, he immediately shifts her emotional state. She stops analyzing, she stops controlling, she starts softening, and in that softening, something powerful happens. She becomes receptive, not just to him, but to the version of herself she becomes in his presence. Women sleep with men instantly not because they're reckless or impulsive, but because something in them recognizes that the energy being offered is solid, secure, and aligned. It bypasses the checklist and hits the soul. It's not about how long they've known each other. It's about how deeply she feels known by him in just one look, one moment, one interaction. That kind of resonance is rare, and when it's real, timing doesn't matter. Social rules don't matter. She doesn't need 3 dates or a 90-day rule to figure it out. Her body already knows, her heart already knows, her intuition whispers this is safe, and that whisper is louder than logic. That's the kind of energy that doesn't chase, doesn't force, and yet draws her in without resistance. There's something magnetic about a man who doesn't try too hard. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't overcompensate with flashy gestures or loud words. He doesn't need to dominate the room to be felt, yet somehow when he enters a space, people turn, women notice, and not just because of how he looks, but because of how he carries himself. His energy is felt before he even speaks. That's energetic dominance, and it's one of the biggest reasons why some men are instantly desired while others are politely dismissed. It's not about arrogance. It's not about trying to be alpha. It's about knowing exactly who you are and letting that truth speak louder than your words. When a man owns his presence without apology, when he moves through life with direction and clarity, he becomes a force, not in a controlling way, but in a way that invites surrender, and women feel that. Energetic dominance doesn't scream for attention, it commands it. It's the subtle but powerful difference between needing approval and offering certainty. Women are drawn to men who offer certainty, not in promises, not in cheesy lines, but in energy. A man who knows where he's going in life, who trusts his own decisions, who isn't constantly looking for permission to lead, gives off a frequency that a woman can rest in. In a world where many women are forced to be in their masculine energy, leading, deciding, fixing, proving, a man with energetic dominance gives her the rare gift of dropping back into her feminine. She doesn't have to control everything. She doesn't have to be hyper-vigilant. She doesn't have to double-check every emotion before expressing it. She can simply respond to his lead, not because she's weak, but because his strength makes space for her softness. It's not about having power over her. It's about having power within yourself. When a man is grounded, when he walks with intention, when he doesn't fold under pressure, women trust that, and trust creates desire. Most men try to manufacture attraction by doing more compliments, more attention, more gifts. But attraction is about what she feels in your asterisk, less asterisk. It's in your stillness, your silence, your ability to hold tension without crumbling. When you're not rushing to fill the gaps, when you're comfortable in the space between words, when you don't flinch at her emotional waves, that's when she starts to see you, not just as a nice guy, not just as a safe option, but as a man who could actually lead her somewhere deeper. Somewhere she's been craving to go but couldn't reach alone. The men women sleep with instantly often say less. They don't explain themselves endlessly. They don't try to prove why they're different. They simply are, and that authenticity speaks louder than any performance. She feels the difference between a man who is rooted and one who is just reacting. A rooted man doesn't change his tone or posture depending on who's watching. He doesn't need to win her over. He simply invites her into his world, and if she accepts, great. If she doesn't, he's still whole. That's what makes her want to be close. Not because she's being manipulated, but because she's being met. Energetic dominance also shows up in the way a man takes initiative. It's not just about making the first move, it's about owning the moment. Whether it's planning a date, asking the real questions, or setting a boundary, a man who leads without fear is rare. And when that kind of leadership comes from a place of inner stability, not ego, women recognize it. They don't just hear it, they feel it in their nervous system. They relax, not because he's perfect, but because he's consistent. Because he doesn't hesitate when it matters, because his energy says, "You don't have to lead this time, I've got it." There is something unspoken, something primal, that happens in the moment between eye contact and conversation. It's not something you can force or fake. It's deeper than words, louder than charm, and more honest than intention. It's sexual polarity, the electric charge that exists when masculine and feminine energies are in full expression without trying to be anything else. When a man is deeply rooted in his masculine and a woman is fully surrendered to her feminine, an undeniable current flows between them. It's not about being seductive on purpose. It's about being so attuned to your own essence that attraction becomes inevitable. Women respond to this not with logic, but with instinct. Her body picks up on what her mind hasn't even processed yet. She feels drawn, moved, awakened, and sometimes that response is so powerful, so consuming, it leads to instant intimacy. Sexual polarity isn't about looks, status, or smooth lines. It's about tension, the right kind of tension, the kind that builds in silence, the kind that lives in the space between what's said and what's felt. A man who understands sexual polarity doesn't rush to close that space. He holds it. He knows how to be still without being passive. He knows how to look at a woman in a way that makes her feel undressed emotionally, not just physically. And that look doesn't just say, I want you. It says, I see you. It's raw, it's clear, it's steady. It carries no desperation, only presence. This presence is what makes a woman feel penetrated before he even touches her. Not in a vulgar way, but in a deeply felt, spiritual way. She feels like her chaos has just been met with calm. Her fire has just been met with structure. Her softness has just been met with strength. And that meeting creates a spark, one that's hard to ignore. When sexual polarity is alive, a woman doesn't need convincing. Her body responds on its own. She becomes more expressive, more open, more in flow. She leans in because she wants to, not because she's being chased. That's the secret. True sexual energy is invitational, not coercive. It pulls, it doesn't push, and yet so many men kill this energy by overperforming. They try to talk their way into attraction. They brag, they flatter, they try to dominate the conversation. But in doing so, they remove the space where polarity can breathe, because polarity thrives in contrast. In masculine stillness that meets feminine movement, in clear direction that meets intuitive feeling, when a man holds his frame, calm, grounded, unwavering, he creates a container for her to be everything she is. Wild, emotional, mysterious, and in that container she feels safe to explore, safe to play, safe to surrender. You see, polarity isn't about power over someone, it's about power with. It's about chemistry created by the natural differences between energies. Masculine energy at its core wants freedom, clarity, purpose. Feminine energy wants love, expression, connection. When those two meet with full authenticity and no pretending, a deeper connection ignites. And it doesn't require a timeline, it doesn't require a checklist, it doesn't require logical justification. Sometimes all it takes is one moment, one shared glance, one pause held just long enough for the body to whisper what the mouth is afraid to say. That's why some women say yes before the second date. That's why some encounters feel like fate instead of strategy. Because when sexual polarity is present, she isn't choosing with her head, she's choosing with her whole being. And it feels right, it feels aligned, it feels safe to want, safe to desire, safe to explore the fullness of her feminine without apology, not because she was persuaded, but because she was felt, seen. Invited into an experience where her vulnerability doesn't feel like a risk, but like a return. Most men are obsessed with the external. How much they're earning, how tall they are, how sharp they dress, how witty their lines sound. They think if they get the outer world right, women will line up to be with them, but they're missing the real game. Women aren't just watching what you do they're feeling who you are . And the way you carry your inner world, your emotions, your self, worth, and your boundaries, that's what truly sets you apart. It's not the job title, it's not the car, it's the energy you carry when you walk into a room. When a man is emotionally needy, women can smell it. When he's trying too hard to please, when his whole vibe says, please like me. She may smile, she may talk, but she will not feel that raw desire. Because there's nothing grounding her in his presence, nothing that says, you're safe to let go here. It doesn't matter how good looking he is, if his energy is leaking, seeking, grasping. Her instincts will shut the door. Women don't want perfect. They want asterisk, real asterisk. They want a man who knows who he is even when no one is clapping for him. A man who's not defined by a woman's yes or no. A man who can handle rejection without losing his power. That's rare, that's attractive, because when a man stands tall in his own energy, he creates a field around him. A field where women don't feel pressured or evaluated. They feel chosen without being chased. That kind of man doesn't get thrown off when a woman tests his edge. He doesn't fold when she pulls away. He doesn't start over-explaining when she goes quiet. He stays centered, and from that place, she starts to wonder who he really is. She leans in, not because he's trying harder, but because he's grounded deeper. Most men don't realize that neediness isn't always loud. Sometimes it's hidden in the subtle way they text back too fast, or the way they panic when a woman delays her response. It's in the tone of voice that tries to avoid conflict at all cost. It's in the fear behind the compliments, the desire to please rather than express. Women feel all of it, because women aren't just attracted to what they see, they're attuned to what they sense. And when she senses that your confidence depends on her approval, the attraction starts to fade. It doesn't matter how much effort you put in. If it's coming from a place of lack, she can't relax into it. You see, a woman needs to feel your wholeness before she offers her vulnerability. She needs to know that if she opens up, falls apart, expresses desire, or even says no, you won't collapse, you won't guilt-trip her. You won't chase, you won't beg. That's where trust lives, and trust is the soil for attraction. A man who trusts himself invites a woman to trust her feminine nature, not just emotionally, but physically. That's when her guard comes down. That's when the connection moves from casual to magnetic. But if your energy is constantly asking for permission to matter, if you need her to validate your masculinity, she will feel it and pull away. Because she's not looking to mother you, she's not looking to rescue you, she's looking for something she can fall into something she can surrender to without questioning her safety, and that starts with who you are when no one is watching. When you don't get the girl, when you sit with your own self, worth, and decide that nothing outside of you defines your value, that's when women start seeing you differently. That's when they sense a deeper presence behind the smile, a calm behind the voice, a confidence that doesn't need to prove itself to be real. So if you've ever wondered why some men barely say a word and still leave a lasting impression, while others do everything right, and still get left on read, understand this. It's not about performance, it's about presence. When your energy speaks before your words do, when your inner world is rooted in confidence, clarity, and calm, you become unforgettable. Because a woman doesn't just choose with her mind, she chooses with her body, her spirit, her intuition. And when your presence feels like home, like safety, like truth, she won't need convincing. She'll no asterisk.